All right. Hey, everybody. Okay. All right. Hey, what's up? Okay. So, hi, it's me, Angel Benton. I know it has been a few weeks since I have logged in and done a live stream for you guys. So, I apologize for that. I'm going to give you I'm just going to talk just briefly about where I've been these past few weeks. I'm going to be talking really quick for a lot of this video because it's been a couple weeks. I've got lots of different shows to discuss because we've got two different shows on Dancing with the Stars Ireland, and we have three shows on Dancing with the Stars Australia, which I'm so excited about. You have no idea. Okay, so all right. So first with so where I was. Okay, so after the last live stream that I did, I ended up flying to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then driving a few hours to Bowler, Wisconsin. And I was there for a week. And then from there, I went to Orlando for the weekend, ran a half marathon, Princess Half Marathon. Shout out to Run Disney. I love your events. And then I went straight from Orlando to Milwaukee, which I swear to God, that was a fucking fiasco. It was ridiculous trying to get, and it actually had to do with the weather in Dallas where I was supposed to change planes, and I ended up changing planes in Baltimore instead. And I ended up getting there like 4 hours later, but it's fine, whatever. Anyways, so, so then I went back to Wisconsin, was in Wisconsin for the whole week, came back for one night. Then I went to Los Angeles because I got a haircut. Does it look good? I don't have a mullet anymore. I ran a race with a mullet. I know, whatever. Um, and now I'm back in town, and I'm back in town for a couple weeks, so I'm very happy about that. I got a lot of stuff done. I got a mani pedi, and let me tell you, I got some polish put on my toes, not on my hands. My hands look like, boy hands, but I have this polish put on my toes. And let me tell you about this polish. This polish, it's like a blue, and it's really pretty, and it's like a dark deep blue, and I have it put on my toes. And originally I had wanted to get this there's a specific nail color that was super big in the 90s. I know I'm dating myself when I discuss this, but it was called Vamp, and in French it was called Rouge Noir, and it was made by Chanel. And if you looked at the soap operas at the time, like One Life to Live, General Hospital, All My Children, like they all had chicks wearing Vamp nail polish. So I really wanted to get that and I actually wore that on my hands in 1998? 1999. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. But I can't wear anything on my fingers in the current job that I have, and that's fine. But I did feel like I wanted something on my toes. So I wanted to get this Vamp, right? And so, living in Glendale, I knew that I couldn't like just go out, on the street corner. And it's not like I live in Beverly Hills. I couldn't go to the Chanel store. Although, what's funny is that, I live in Vegas. I should have tried the Chanel store here at Bellagio, but whatever. I digress. Oh, that's even better. Great. Okay, so I ended up going to Macy's at the Glendale Galleria, and they didn't have it. So I was devastated. So I ended up going to... I wrote an email to Chanel, and I was like, hey, do you still have this nail color called Vamp or Rouge Noir? Now, back then it was the same color, but now they've actually separated them. And the original Vamp is now called Rouge Noir. And it's black with a hint of red. So it looks like blood red on your fingertips. It really looks fierce. But Vamp is also a color, and it's a little bit more red than black. So I want Rouge Noir actually for my toes, but I'll get that later. I mean, I'm enjoying the blue on my toes. So as I was walking home, because I had dropped my car off to get serviced, and then I walked to the mall, and I love walking. I walk everywhere. It's fantastic. So I walked home. And as I was walking home, I started to feel sick. And I was like, this is not good. Because I was like, I was in the halfway in like this crazy, you know, week of all of this madness going on. I was like, I cannot get sick. I just can't do it. You know, because this was actually 2 weeks ago. This was, no, this was like 3 weeks ago. Yeah, this was because I tried to get a hair appointment then, and my hair guy was actually in Dallas that weekend, so I couldn't get one. So I ended up taking my car to get serviced instead. And on the way back, I started to get sick, and I was like, I can't get sick because I had 2 weeks in Wisconsin, a marathon. I mean, I was like, I can't do this. So I stopped at Walgreens and I got like a shit ton of Mucinex, Dayquil, and NyQuil, and I was like, I'm just gonna, and cetirizine too. And I had some Benadryl already. So I'm not kidding. I was all about knocking the fuck out of this, and actually I did. Like, the next day I felt better. And I know it sounds crazy, but like, I swear to God, like, I actually could feel something coming on, and I'm getting a lot better about listening to my body. And when my body says, okay, you need to slow down, I'm like, okay, I need to do something, because I can't slow down right now. You know what I mean? I'm sure there will be plenty of time for me to just sleep all weekend, but until then, I have to actually just keep going. So I took all my pills and I'm good to go. Okay, so that's where I've been, just FYI. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about American. Oh, and let's talk a little bit about the time slot that I do these live streams. You know, normally when I first started these live streams, I was covering both Dancing with the Stars in America as well as Strictly Come Dancing in England. And I tried to pick a time when it would be good for both viewers in both countries. You know, in America, it would be in the morning, which is the evening in England. So it was kind of good. You know, I felt bad for my friends in Japan that watched, because it doesn't matter what I pick, they're screwed. So sorry. Gomen nasai. Anyways, but now, because I'm covering, obviously I'm still covering Dancing with the Stars America, even though it's not on the air yet, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm also covering Dancing with the Stars Ireland, which is kind of the same time zone as England, but I'm also now covering Dancing with the Stars Australia, and that is a completely different time zone. And still, I've got my friends in Japan too. So it's like, okay, I can't win. So I'm just gonna accept the fact that most of my viewers are in America, and I'm just gonna do this on Wednesday nights, and that's it. So, you know, hopefully, if you're in one of those other countries that I mentioned, or somewhere else in the world, I would love it if you're from somewhere else in the world. Please drop me a line in the comments. Let me know where you're from. I appreciate you, but hopefully you'll catch the replay of this on my channel. Okay, so let's talk about Dancing with the Stars America. Okay, the American version. So, you know, there isn't going to be one in the spring, right? Okay, but they're currently having a tour from last season. And I was going to go to the one in Long Beach, the performance that they just had in Long Beach, but that was actually on a Monday night. I couldn't get off work to go to Long Beach that Monday, so sorry. But last night they were here in Las Vegas, and I went to the Smith Center and I got to see it, and it was so good. And so here's my program. It's really good. It was a really good show. I've got to say, of all of the tours, this one might have been my favorite. And this is what's weird about that. Okay, so let's talk about the pros. Here are the pros that are in the show. There is Brandon Armstrong, who he was on the last tour as well. Gleb Savchenko, who you know I think is super hot. Valentin Shmerkovsky, also super hot. Artem Chigvintsev, also super hot. Sasha Farber, and then there's my husband, Alan Burston. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's a joke. I only said that actually to piss off my friend Lex, because Lex is like, say hello to my husband Alan on Facebook. So I texted him a gif of Bon Quigui saying, girl, I will cut you. It's really funny. Anyways, okay, so the female pros are Emma Slater, Britt Stewart. FYI, make Britt a fucking pro. She's been a troupe member forever. She's fierce. They haven't had any African American pros, and no, Cheryl Burke is not African American. She Just give her a job. I love her. I want to see her with a partner. She'll kick some ass. Seriously. Okay, so anyways, Britt Stewart, Emma Slater, Whitney Carson, who Emma has been on every single tour that I've seen. Whitney every other one, and like Lindsay was on one, but she isn't on this one. So, and then there's Jenna Johnson, who is engaged to Val, and we'll talk about them in just a quick second. And Haley Erbert. And then now, here's what's interesting. So they call it the Dancing with the Stars Tour Live, right? But there isn't a whole lot of star power in the Dancing with the Stars, right? I think they should just call it Dancing Live because, let's be real, on the show, you're going to see the stars dance, but when you go to the tour, you're not going to see the stars dance, you're going to see the pros, right? So in this case, they had Grocery Store Joe, and now anyone who watches my live stream knows how era fucking tated I was at Grocery Store Joe, and not to as great of an extent, but to a lesser extent, the guy that actually won Dancing with the Stars, Bobby Bones. They were chosen to do the tour, but also Milo Manheim, who I think should have won. He was doing the tour, and so was Juan Pablo Depache, who I felt was let go a little early. Now, I've already discussed on a previous episode how they could make this better by doing an all-stars with people that just barely missed the title. No winners, because that'll be a lot better than the all-stars that they did before. But yeah, I think they need to do another all-stars and have and basically redo this season without any losers, because not losers, that's really mean. I didn't mean that. I meant without all people of the same dance level, dance ability. Let's put it that way. Okay? So let's talk about Val and Jenna. Okay, so it came out in today's news. Radar Online was reporting that Val is on Now, listen, this is all according to Radar. I cannot confirm nor verify. I've already given you my source where I've heard it from. But they said that Val is on this invite-only hookup app called Raya, looking for chicks. And they were like, you're engaged. What's going on? So I have mixed feelings about this. On the one hand, I'm thinking, you cannot be serious. You can't think that he's actually actively looking for pussy. He's got a gorgeous fiance. I just saw them last night. They looked totally in love and together. Of course, I have been fooled before. So, I'm not quite sure if I buy that. But what gives the story a little bit of credibility is that it isn't just like, it didn't say, Val's on Grindr, because, that would be, how many catfishes do you know? Let me tell you, there's this gay porn star named Brent Corrigan, and I have met, and there's also one called Bravo Delta, and I've met a bazillion Bravo Deltas and Brent Corrigans who aren't either one of them, and I call them out on it all the time because it's ridiculous when they catfish using a known person's picture. So it's not like that. This is not like that. This is an invite only. So if he was invited to join this, then they must have his email address. So that is clue number one, that this story might have some legs. Another one is that they were able to see that he had recently logged on. So again, I don't know, and if it is true, then that's something that Val and Jenna need to discuss. If it isn't true, then that's something they need to discuss with Radar or with Raya, which is the app in question, because it's kind of crazy. So I don't want to give too much away about the show last night, just because they still have some more dates left in the tour, and I don't want to ruin it for the tour. Just know that I think every single date for the rest of the tour is done by Joe Amabile. Excuse me. Joe, he was a decent host. He was relatively funny. He was no Jordan Fisher and Frankie Muniz, I'll tell you that much. They were great. They were my favorite hosts that I've seen thus far. The first time I saw the tour live, Melissa Rycroft was the host, and Alfonso Ribeiro was there as well, and they were fine. They were good. I enjoyed them. And then recently I saw oh no, and then I saw Rashad. He was the host. He was the only celebrity, and he was the host. And then I also saw Frankie and Jordan. They were hosting. They co-hosted together, and then they ended up doing Dancing with the Stars Juniors. And I think that was genius to cast them because honestly, like they had such good chemistry in Dancing with the Stars. It was nice to see that kind of go over into Juniors. And I hope, against all hope, that they bring Dancing with the Stars Juniors back for a season 2 because it was incredible. It's great. They're actually nominated for a Kids' Choice Award, so I hope that they win because they're really good. Okay, so I don't want to give too much away about the show, but yeah. So and then this year it was Joe Mobley, and both Bobby Bones and Juan Pablo ended up dropping out of the rest of the tour. Bobby got injured. I'm not quite sure what happened with Juan Pablo. He might have gotten hurt too, but I would have liked to have seen Milo, but whatever. It is what it is. I appreciate, whatever. He did one number. It's not that, it wasn't, like I said, he did a couple, like maybe 3 bits where he was hosting and shit, but for the most part, he did one dance number and that was it. Okay. All right, Joe, we get it, But what this is what kind of pissed me off a little bit is he was talking about how, I can't dance and I want to dance, but I can't dance. And I'm thinking, at this point, right? Okay, I get it. During the show, you couldn't pick it up. That's fine. But how many months has he had since that show ended until now? At least 3 months, right? And he still can't dance? I mean, it's a good show, though. So if you get the chance, you should see it. And my favorite part of it was actually they did this bit where they had the 2 married couples. They had Sasha and Emma. And I give Emma props. Emma's actually the OG, not the OG because she hasn't done every single tour, but of all the people that are on tour now, she's done the most tours. Normally, that would have been Sharna, but Sharna is not on this tour. She's been on all the other ones, but she's not on this one because she's a judge on Dancing with the Stars Australia, which we'll get to in a minute. Okay. So, it was a really good show. If you get the chance to see it, you really should because it's awesome. I saw an article on LinkedIn, which is really crazy because I don't normally troll LinkedIn, but I was on LinkedIn and I saw this article about how Netflix is the portal to the world. And I found that to be very interesting. And they're saying that most people in Netflix like to see shows and movies from other countries, which, I'm not surprised. We're growing towards a global existence. You know what I mean? We're not just, even though they say nationalism is on the rise, not just in our country, but in many other countries, I think that I think that it's really cool. So anyway, so people were asking, how do you watch all of these Dancing with the Stars shows in these other countries or Strictly Come Dancing? And the reality is there's a website. It's called First One TV. It's firstoneTV.net/live. And then they have all these countries listed that they show live television from. And, I would pick United Kingdom to watch Strictly Come Dancing. For Dancing with the Stars Ireland, I hit Ireland. For Dancing with the Stars Australia, I hit Australia. And then you can select which channel you want to watch. So what's interesting, first of all, is the commercial aspect, right? So Strictly has no commercials because it's on BBC. So BBC One doesn't have any commercials. The in-between shows they do, but nothing other than that, right? So in a way, I guess it's kind of like PBS because there's no commercials in PBS either. But it's a lot more prestigious than PBS's. But it makes sense though because a lot of the British BBC stuff from Britain actually ends up on PBS, like Downton Abbey. So it's interesting. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, Ireland, their Dancing with the Stars does have commercial breaks. And because of that, now what's interesting about Strictly Come Dancing is that it would start off with like a 3 hour show, and then it finally got whittled down to be like an hour, right? So I found that to be interesting because every other place, they've got a specific time set off for the show, right? So Ireland's got 2 hours. They've also got commercials. But if you watch the commercials on First One TV, they don't show the Irish commercials. They just show a big screen that says commercial break. Okay. And then in Australia, you get to see the actual Australian commercials. Now, their show is 2 hours and 15 minutes, which again is kind of weird, but 2 hours and 15 minutes, and you get to see these Australian commercials, and it is the best. It is the greatest. I love it. I have to say, I do love Australian television. I really do. Okay, so let's talk about Dancing with the Stars Ireland. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about week 7. Week 7, week 8, and week 9. Okay. Week 7, they didn't really have a theme, and this was the week that I missed because I was actually sitting on a plane on my way to Milwaukee when the show aired, so I wasn't able to see it. But Julian Benson, who's basically plays the Bruno character as one of the judges. He's the big flamboyant, always has some shiny suit on. I swear to God, last week he had glitter in his hair. He looked phenomenal. He looked so fierce. I give him lots of props, right? Although, well, we'll talk about the judging in a minute, but he actually got hurt somehow, like injured. So he had to take 2 weeks off of the show. And so they had Darren Bennett fill in for him. Now, who is Darren Bennett, you might ask? Honestly, I had no idea, but he was a pro on Strictly in England. And, I've only watched one season of Strictly, so I didn't really know too much about it. But he was on one season of Strictly, and and I think he won one season. I don't know, but he's the creative director basically for the show, and so he stepped in for Julian, and he did a really good job. I was impressed, I thought it was really impressive. So for 2 weeks, he stepped in for 2 weeks. So the first week, I didn't really see it, but I know. Let me tell you the couples that in the order that they danced. So Clelia and Vitaly, I love me some Clelia. You don't understand. I fucking love me some Clelia Murphy. She's fierce. She's a soap opera actress, which I did not know, and now that I know that, I totally love her even more. I don't necessarily think she's going to win, but she should at least come in third. Honestly, she's incredible. She is incredible. So anyways, she did a Cha-Cha-Cha to She's a Lady by Tom Jones. I really wish I would have heard it. I wish I could have seen it because I want to know if they did the regular She's a Lady, or if they did, there was a Tom Jones remix of this song on the soundtrack to Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. I wonder if she did that one instead. God, that would be great if she did. It's interesting. I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find it online somewhere. But they got a 23. They got a 7 and 2 8s. Dennis and Valeria. Oh, God, Dennis Bastick. He did a waltz to I Wonder Why by Curtis Stigers. I've never heard the song. I don't know. They got a 6 and 2 7s. Then there is Cleona and Robert. Now, Cleona Hagen. That's how you say it. I swear to God, it's Cleona Hagen. Cleona is a fierce fucking bitch. She is fierce, ferocious, and phenomenal. She's incredible. I love everything about her. She can dance like nobody's business. And Robert loves to choreograph shit for her that she likes to do. I love it. I love everything about it. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's incredible. So they did a tango to Sweet But Psycho by Ava Max. And they got 25. They got 2 8s and a 9. Darren Bennett gave him a 9. Then there was Demi and Kai. Now, you know that I think Demi should have gone home already, but I think that her time is ticking. Although I love me some Kai. If you follow me on any of my social media, you know I did a Man Crush Monday on Kai. Oh shit, I didn't do one this week. I need to do one. I gotta do another Man Crush Monday on Monday. So I don't know why I didn't do one. I was just so exhausted, because I've just been going. And no drugs, I promise you. No cocaine. I've never done cocaine. I've never done meth. I've never done any sort of stimulant other than caffeine and phentermine. But I'm not on phentermine right now. And I needed that to help with my weight. I'm sorry, it's true. Okay. Then there was Demi and Kai. They did a Viennese Waltz to Fallen by Alicia Keys, which, I love that song. But they got 3 sevens, so they got 21. Which ironically was not the worst score of the night. The worst score was Dennis and Valeria with their waltz to I Wonder Why. They only got 20. So I found that interesting. Fred and Julia. Now, I love me some Fred Kook. You know I love me some Fred Kook. And I'm proud of Fred Kook because, that bitch has actually lost quite a bit of weight. Like, he started off, roly-poly, but he now looks fucking well fit, to quote my British friends. So, good for him. I love me some Fred Kook. They did a quick set, The Dancing Fool, from the play Copacabana, but they got 24. They got 3 eights. Now, with the exception of Cleona and Robert, that is the best, the second best, no, the third best. That is third. That's in third fucking place, right? But it wasn't enough. He actually ended up being in the bottom 2, which is very disheartening. I'm glad I didn't see that because I was really upset about that. And then there was Johnny and Emily. Now, I'm not lying. Johnny is the fucking one to beat. I'm not kidding. He is walking away with this competition, in my opinion. He does every single week. He does great and great and great and great and just better and better. And, at first they were kind of getting on to him because they said he was over dancing. Basically pulling a Mark Ballas. Because, Mark Ballas has a tendency to do that if their partners can't. Like, he doesn't quite know how to gauge. If his partner's not getting it, then he needs to tone it down just slightly. Because if they're not getting it and you're really over the top, you're not saving the number. You're actually making them look even worse, right? So they were accusing him of doing that, which is funny because he's not the pro. He is the star. So I thought that was very interesting. And not just that, but let's talk about the judging. The judges, I felt, have been really harsh on Johnny, right? And I felt like they love them some fucking Dennis. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Dennis, this is the thing about Dennis that irritates me. When Dennis dances, this is the expression on his face. I swear to God, out of all these weeks, I saw him change expression one time. And, there's people out there that are going, oh, yeah, but, anyone can make a face. Dennis can actually dance. Okay, first of all, no, he can't. He's strong. He's got a nice body. Okay, yeah. But if anybody can make a face, if you can train, this is what they said, you can train monkeys in the circus to make a face. Okay, so if you could do that and he can't do one, that makes him even worse. Like, I'm sorry, but that argument just proves my point. He is the worst. The absolute worst. Sorry. I'm just saying. So anyways, Johnny and Emily did a rumba to Say You Won't Let Go by James Arthur. They topped the leaderboard, 27 points, 999. And I believe that was the first 9s of the season. So that was good for them. They were at the top of the leaderboard. And then there was Mairead and John. They did a quick step to Nothing Breaks Like a Heart by Mark Ronson featuring Miley Cyrus. Now, here's the thing. She also got a 24. Same as Fred and Julia. Now, I didn't see this, so I don't know how they are. But I do know that every fucking week they have a tendency, the judges have a tendency to go on and on about Mairead. Now, I like Mairead. I have nothing against Mairead, and I think Mairead should definitely be in the top four for sure. Um, but do I think she's better than Clelia? No, I don't. And they're very hard on Clelia as well. And you know what else? People who's hard on her is the fucking Irish people. But we'll talk about them in a minute. Yeah, I don't get all the love, the effusive love for Mairead. Like, she's doing good. She's doing well. She should definitely make her way to the top four. But I think she should come in fourth. You know, like, I don't think she's better than the other three, who are Johnny, Cleona, and Clelia. Just saying, right? But she was safe. And then there was Peter and Ksenia. Now, here's the thing about Peter. Peter Stringer is a rugby player, and he's got a tight little firm body. Now, I didn't want to say anything, but let me tell you, he actually, they showed some behind the scenes footage, you know. What is it? BTS, behind the scenes. But they call it something else. VTS, whatever. In the clip package, pun intended, because they showed him in these sweats, and he's packing. He's packing a lot. So I was transfixed by those gray sweatpants. I was like, oh my God, wow. You go, Peter. And honestly, Peter is a much better dancer than Dennis. And it's true. Like, again, Dennis's face. Peter might make a mistake on a step here and there, but he gives you facials. He acts out every single dance. So I love that. I love that. Like I said, I would much rather have someone tone down a performance than have to pull one out of someone. You know, it's a lot easier to tone someone down than to kind of drag a performance out of somebody. It's really difficult to do that. So the bottom two were Fred and Julia, which upsets me, and then Demi and Kai. And thank God Demi and Kai went home. You know, I'm not thank God for Kai, because you know I love me some Kai, but adios Demi. Okay. So then the next week, they had what they called Orchestra Week. Now, Orchestra Week, in America, we called it Classical Night, right? But they call it Orchestra Week. Now, or at least that's what I thought. When it first started, I thought, oh, this is what they call Classical Night, right? Well, yes and no. Okay, so normally, you know, they play tracks. There's no orchestra that plays with them, like there is with Strictly Come Dancing or Dancing with the Stars or Dancing with the Stars Australia. This is the only Dancing with the Stars that doesn't have a set orchestra every single week. So they had one this one week, and you would think that they would do a lot of classical numbers, but they really didn't. They only did a couple. And like the first one, though, they did was Mairead and John again. Now I got to see this one. So they did a samba to Copacabana. Now I love the orchestra because, you know, I'm loving the orchestra with the disco songs because I think it's pretty good. That's pretty great. But just, there wasn't that much bounce. There was no samba rolls. I mean, they did have some voltas, no switchbacks. And that's getting really technical, but honestly, that's what we love about a samba. No bounce, and her facials weren't that great for this one. Because normally, actually, she does a good job with facials. I give her credit for that. But this one just wasn't that great. It really wasn't. But of course, she was safe, of course, whatever. And then there was Dennis and Valeria. Oh my God, Dennis. Ugh. They did a foxtrot, and they did it to this instrumental version of Someone Like You by Adele, which is, first of all, I don't necessarily know that I think of that as a foxtrot song, but they did do it like, you know, they did a slow foxtrot. Okay, that's fine. But again, no facial expression at all. Okay. And they got scored better than Mairead and John. Now, here's the thing, because they got 23 and Mairead and John got 21. So Brian Redmond gave them a 7. The other two gave them an 8. And this is what I don't understand. There is no way. Now, don't get me wrong. I've just been talking shit about Mairead for these. But I'll tell you what. There is no way on this earth that Dennis is a better dancer than Mairead. No way. No way. No way in hell. I'm sorry. They're crazy. They are crazy. They're not looking at it with the same eyes. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Then there was my girl, Clelia and Vitali. They did a paso doble to Funiculi Funicula. Okay, it's from an opera, but that's kind of classical, so okay. And it was actually not that bad. And I love Clelia because she has the best attitude. She's like, you know what? She's like, if I have to be in the dance-off, so be it, because I get to dance with this orchestra again, because they are awesome. Because remember, these people are not used to dancing with orchestras because they're used to dancing to tracks. So it's got to feel great to have all these, instrumentalists behind you, playing your music. It's got to feel fucking phenomenal, right? I'm sure. So they did better than Dennis and Valeria. They got 2 8s and a 9. Darren Bennett gave him a 9. God bless. God bless. Then there was Peter and Ksenia. And they did An American Smooth to New York, New York by Frank Sinatra. But no one sang it. It was just instrumental again, which is kind of weird. But I felt bad for Peter because he did mess up a couple times in the routine. And it's one of those things where it's like, because even though Dennis had no facial expression at all, technically what he was given, and I'm not saying that he was given that much either, but with what he was given, I guess you could say he was better than Peter. As a whole, not necessarily, but in this particular week, yeah. So Peter and Ksenia only got a 20, and they got a 6 from Brian Redmond, and then Darren and Lorraine gave them 7s. And then there was Johnny. Now, Johnny came from top of the leaderboard last week, Johnny and Emily. This week they did a tango to Viva La Vida from Coldplay. Now, here's the thing. I would have preferred if they had a singer with the orchestra, if they're going to do these disco songs. Like, well, Viva La Vida is not a disco song, but it's a pop song that had classical elements to it because it had those, strings, and just like Copacabana did, and they had the percussion section. Like, it would have been nice if they would have had singers with them, but I digress. They got a 29. The first 10s of the season, Brian gave them a 9, but the other 2 gave them 10s. So that's incredible. But the best was right afterwards was Cleona and Robert. And they did a waltz to A Time for Us by Henry Mancini. And let me tell you, gorgeous, beautiful, perfect score. 30. I'm telling you, Johnny and Cleona should be the top of the leaderboard because they go back and forth. They are awesome. And then there was my boy, Fred Kook, with Julia. He did a jive to I'm Still Standing by Elton John, which is funny. You would think that they would talk about that because Bruno was in that act. Bruno Tognoli was actually in that video for Elton John, I'm Still Standing. And they always talk about it all the time in America and in England too on Strictly Come Dancing. So I found it interesting that no one kind of mentioned that in Ireland. But I mean, I guess they wouldn't really know who Bruno is. But a lot of the Irish people can watch Strictly. Ooh, sorry. So, I don't know. Anyways, they got 24, 3 8s, and they were also safe. The bottom 2 were Peter and Ksenia, and then my girl, Clelia and Vitali. Now, Clelia, like I said, bitch was like, whatever. I want to dance with the orchestra again. Let's do it. So she did. And then here's the good thing. They've now started doing this week. They started doing stuff just like they have in England, where They tell you the bottom two that are voted in, and then they get to dance again. Sorry, I have a hair in my, sorry. And then they get to dance again, and then the judges decide who they want to keep. Personally, I think that works, and I think they need to do that in America. Because I remember how pissed our judges were this year. This year they were really upset about a lot of different calls, so I definitely think that's how it should be done. So they had them do the number again, and they can only judge off of that one particular number. Chloe and Vitaly, perfect. Perfect. Dennis and Ksenia did better, but it was not as good. So they ended up going home. And it made me sad because Peter and Ksenia, because I think that I would have rather seen Dennis gone home other than Peter, but I get it this week. He just messed up. I get it. Okay, anyways. Finally, last week. Okay, last week was Team Dance Week, right? So there's 6 people left, and they split them into 2 groups of 3, right? Of the stars, and then their partners. So 6 people on each team. So the first people that went was Cleona and Robert. They did a salsa to Mujer Latina by Thalia, and they were safe. They got 2 8s and a 9, and they were, again, you can't, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I just fucking love them. Mairead and John did an American Smooth to Be on the Sea by Robbie Williams, and they got a 22. So Brian and and Julian Benson was back this week. So Darren Bennett was great for those first 2 weeks. Now Julian is back. And so basically what happened was Julian gave them an 8, and then the other 2 gave them 7s. Okay, that's fine. Chloe and Vitaly did a Charleston to I Got Rhythm by the Pupini sisters. And let me tell you, they got a 26. Like, they did better than Cleona and Robert, which is crazy. Oh. There we go. Hold on. There we go. Wait, can you see? Okay, I'm still... Sorry, I'm not quite sure what's going on. I got this Apple Watch, so is working correctly or not. But so they did a Charleston, and Brian gave them an 8. Julian and Lorraine gave them 9s. I thought they did phenomenal. And then there was Dennis and Valeria. They did a Paso Doble to Carnival de Paris by Dario G, which... I love Carnival de Paris, and I love me some Dario G. Dario G did that song Sunchime, which sampled Life in a Northern Town by Dream Academy. It was great. I loved Sunchime. And I loved Carnival de Paris too, and I loved the song Sun Machine. That's another good one by Dario G. Dario G had some really good shit, so I'm curious as to know why that happened. I don't know. But anyways... Okay. Oh, I achieved my goal. Oh, I hit my move goal today. Yippee. All right. Okay. Come on. Okay, whatever. All right, so they got a 24. They got 3 8s. I didn't think it was worth an 8. I would have liked to have seen them get 21. I thought they should have got 7s, but whatever. Fred Kook and Julia did a Viennese waltz With a Little Help from My Friends by Joe Cocker. Now, I didn't know this. I didn't realize this until I actually saw this number. But With a Little Help from My Friends is originally done by the Beatles. And the original version is in 4/4 time. But the Joe Cocker version is in 3/4 time, which is what you need for a waltz. You can do a waltz in 4/4 time, but you've got to kind of cheat it and pretend like it's 3/4 time. It doesn't work out as good as if it was in 3/4 time. So what's interesting is that they did it in 3/4 time. I thought it was a good choice. It was a good choice for a song. I thought they did great, actually. They did really good. They only got 20 though. They got a 6 from Brian and then a 7 from Lorraine and from Julian. But I still think that it was not that bad. I gotta give Julia a lot of credit actually, because she knows how to turn it out and do all kinds of crazy shit. So I give her credit. Okay. Johnny and Emily did a samba to Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. And, I was talking to my mom about this. You know who co-wrote that song? Candy Burris from The Real Housewives of Atlanta and Tiny from Teeny and Tiny, or T.I. and Tiny, whatever. They were in Escape together. They wrote No Scrubs, and Ed Sheeran sampled No Scrubs. So they're cashing checks all the way to the bank. So good for them, bitches. Get it. Okay. But again, Johnny, incredible. 28. Awesome. I mean, of the individual dances, he got the best score out of everyone. So then there were the two team dances. The first team was Clelia and Vitali, Cleona and Robert, and Dennis and Valeria. So every team, there was kind of two good people and then one that was kind of, right? So in this team, Cleona and Clelia, awesome. Dennis, and they did All That Jazz, the Castro remix of All That Jazz from Chicago. It was okay. And then Fred, Julia, Johnny, Emily, Mairead, and John. So you've got Mairead and Johnny and Fred. So they did freestyle. They were Team Future, and they did Born This Way by Lady Gaga. It's not my favorite version of that song is the one that they did. Because that's like the one everyone knows. But I personally prefer the Country Road remix. And in my pole dancing days, that was my competition song, and I kicked ass at that routine. So the dance off, the bottom two, when they counted all the votes and then everyone called in, the bottom two were, again, Clelia and Vitali, and this time it was Dennis and Valeria. I mean, I was like this because A, the judges always like to be harsh to Clelia, and B, for some reason they think the sun just shines out of Dennis's ass. I don't get it. Well, this time they actually fucking wised up and they saved. Well, Brian Redmond didn't though. So they asked Julian who he wanted to save. He wanted to save Clelia and Vitali. Okay, get it. And they asked Brian Redmond who he wanted to save. He wanted to save Dennis and Valeria. Oh, no, he didn't. And then they asked Lorraine, because normally they don't even get to Lorraine, because normally they're of one mind when they make these decisions. But because she's the head judge, she gets the deciding vote. Now, I got to say this. As far as head judges goes, she's no Len, and she's definitely no Shirley Ballas, right? I'm just saying. So she actually made sense, and she saved Clelia. So adios, Dennis. You got a lot further in the competition than you probably should have. So God bless. Goodbye and God bless. Now, done with that, let's cross the pond. Keep crossing the pond. We're going to go to Australia. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Dancing with the Stars in Australia. So in Australia, so the show started in England. I mean, it started actually in the 50s. It was called Come Dancing, and it wasn't celebrities. It was actually normal people learning how to dance on camera. And then it kind of went away, and then they brought it back because they had this movie called Strictly Ballroom, which came out in either the late 80s or it was between 88 and maybe it might even have been the 90s, maybe like 90, 91. So Strictly Ballroom came out. Actually, it was the very first Baz Luhrmann movie. So he was an Australian. He made this about Australian ballroom dancing. It was a big hit. So what they did is they took the Strictly from Strictly Ballroom, and then they took the Come Dancing from that old show, and then it became Strictly Come Dancing, right? And that's been on for a long time. So that was kind of the first show. So then they changed the title to Dancing with the Stars, and then it opened in Australia before it even came to America yet. And I'll tell you how I know, because my friend Kate, shout out to my friend Kate Chamberlain. Thank you, Kate. She sent me a YouTube clip of a guy that had won Dancing with the Stars, and they showed his winning dance. And it hadn't aired yet in the United States. I was like, wow, people are really excited about this. Okay, and he's not bad. I mean, it's pretty good, right? So it aired there until 2015, and it aired on Channel 7. Okay, so it was on Channel 7 until 2015, then it gets canceled. They had talked about bringing it back for 2017. They didn't. So another channel, another network, Channel 10, picks up the program, and it started airing this year. Now, I don't know how unions work in Australia. I couldn't tell you, but I will say that they basically cleaned house. Like, you know, Bruno was a judge in Australia for a while. Kim Johnson was a judge for the last 4 seasons. Paul Mercurio, who was actually in the original Strictly Ballroom, he was a judge for like the first 7 years it was on. So, you know, it was interesting, but then they just decided, you know, we're going to start over. We're going to start fresh. We have 2 new hosts. So they've got Amanda, what is her name? What is the host's name? It's, hold on. Amanda Keller and Grant Denyer. Okay, first of all, let's talk about Australian people. So then the judges are Sharna Burgess, who we all know in America and we love her. Tristan McManus, who's Irish, right? And he's married to an Australian though. So it kind of makes sense why he's on that show. And Craig Revel Horwood from Strictly Come Dancing. Now, what's interesting, for whatever reason, they can understand Americans and they can understand British people, but they cannot understand Irish people. That cracks me up. I'm sorry, I think that's funny. Second of all, you know, Craig is his own bird, right? Craig's a little bit different. He marches to the beat of his own drum, and he likes to score very harshly. Now, the good news is that he does it across the board. It's not like he's nice to one person, Ireland, but you know, he is kind of harsh to everybody. But I mean, he's overly harsh, and Australian people, they were not having it. I mean, everyone was talking about how I hate the gay judge, you know. It was really interesting. It was interesting. Let's just put it that way. At this point, because after a year of Craig on Strictly, I'm used to him. I kind of would like to see him smile a little more in Australia, because literally like every single week, well, first of all, they don't do, like in England, they make a big production. They're like, the judges, and then they have everyone come out, da, 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 right? They don't do that in Australia. They're already seated, and they're like the judges, and then they just show them, and he like never cracks a smile. So I'm like, okay, Craig, I know that you can smile. Can we, you know, give a little bit of smile? Okay, whatever. So, okay. So they did their first dances, and I didn't know any of the pros. And I didn't know any of the stars, save for one of them, right? One of the stars I knew, and that's Courtney Act. Now, Courtney Act, if you don't know Courtney, as a boy, her name was Shane Jenek, or is Shane Jenek, as a guy. And she was on Australian Idol, which is their version of American Idol. And then she, as Courtney Act, went on RuPaul's Drag Race and came in second place to Bianca Del Rio. Then she went to England and did Celebrity Big Brother and won, and educated England all about transgender issues. Incredible. So good. Like, and she won, and I was literally I cried real tears when she won. I was so happy for her. Like, you have no idea. I was like, yes, bitch, yes. And everyone loves her. Everyone loves her. She had her own show called Courtney's The Bi Life. It was great. I was on MTV in England, but it was great. You know, I love her. So she's doing Dancing with the Stars in drag as Courtney Act, and she's got a male partner. So on the one hand, it doesn't look that different to the eyes, but you know, these are 2 men dancing together, right? One might be wearing a dress and makeup and high heels and a wig, but he's still a man, right? So I think it's very interesting. And you know what? you know what? Let me tell you something. That bitch brings it every fucking week. Incredible. So she did the first week she danced. What did she dance? Oh, ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Right? It was great. She did so good. She did, I think it was a jive. It was so good. It was incredible. Then she did a cha-cha the second week, because the second week was That's My Jam week, which, do you remember those compilation CDs that they used to have commercials for? And there was one called "That's My Jam," and they had like all these like old school party music songs. It was great. I always, every time I can't hear "That's My Jam" week without thinking of that commercial. That's my jam. Anyways, sorry. So they chose "Wannabe" by the Spice Girls, and he ended up doing a cha-cha. Okay, still kicking ass. And then this week was most memorable year. And his most memorable year was, what was it, like 19, wait, what was it? Courtney and Josh, Real Men by Joe Jackson. But what year was it? I don't remember. But it was like, I think it was 1996, whatever. Basically, he started off the routine in drag, and then he ends up taking off everything in the middle of the number and finishing it as a boy. And first of all, I give his partner his partner actually looks just like Artem, which is kind of crazy. But, it's really interesting that all 3 weeks, top of the leaderboard. All 3 weeks. Yes, bitch, get it. So it's impressive. It's super impressive. So I give them a lot of credit. Even the judges, they were like just flabbergasted at Courtney Act, and they were like, "You're just." I mean, and Tristan was like, "I'm speechless. Like, it was so good. It was so good. I don't have words. It was great. It was really great. I give her major props. So, kudos to you, Courtney Act. You are incredible." Okay, so then let's talk about some of the other people. So then there is a comedian, and she's older, and she's a little bit bigger. Her name is Denise something. Denise, what is her name? Her name is Denise Scott. Okay. I fucking love her. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of hers. Like, how like I'm a fan of Clelia in Ireland now? I'm a fan of Denise Scott. She was the second one eliminated. Oh, spoiler alert. She went home last week. But you know what? She's hilarious. She is hilarious. She ended up doing on this most memorable year. This was like 1960s, and she started because it was in the 60s when she was a little girl, and she ended up doing. She's actually only a year older than my mom. She was born in 54. My mom was born in 55. So it's like, oh, sorry, Mom, didn't mean to give out your age, but you are my mom. I'm just saying. So she ended up doing that. And she was terrified, and she remembers having to just go out on stage and muscle through it, and then she decided how much she loved it from that. She won that talent show that she was in, which they called it a talent quest, which is interesting. We call it a talent show. And she won. So good for her, but they did a disco routine to I Will Survive, and it wasn't bad. And they showed clips of her like rehearsing in the airport. And the best part about that clip was that no one else in the fucking place cared. No one cared. No one was paying them any mind. Hilarious. I was dying on the floor laughing so hard. It was so good. And just her deadpan delivery is so spot on. I love everything about it. I'm gonna look her up on YouTube. Look up Denise Scott on YouTube because she is hilarious. Okay, so let's see who else is on there. There's a guy named Jet Rink, I think his name is, and he Jet Kenny, sorry, Jet Kenny. So he's the son of a couple famous people. I guess they're famous in Australia, and he is an Ironman triathlete, and he is a model as well. Now, let me tell you something. He looks like a model. He's a pretty good model. Like he's pretty hot. But what's unfortunate is that he's very inconsistent with his dancing. His first week, he was okay. He wasn't awful, but he wasn't amazing. Second week, really good. Really good. This last week, really bad. Just could not, like he was out of time with the music at the beginning of the routine, and he just could not catch it at all. So, he was really hard on himself, but, he stayed, the first week, obviously no one went home. And what's interesting about Australia is they leave the voting open for days, like pretty much like a week. And then they close it before the show starts. They tally up all the votes. And then they have the show. And the first week they sent home, okay, so then they had this guy named Miguel Maestre. And he is a TV host for a show called The Living Room, but I think he's a chef. Whatever, he's really good, but he did kind of remind me a little bit of Bobby Bones in the respect that he just overdid, like, he was like so excited to be there, and it was like, okay, like, it was totally the opposite of Dennis in Ireland, where, you had to like pull out a performance out of him. You were like, okay, simmer down now, right? But he ended up going home the first week. Denise went home the second week. So upsetting. Jet is fine. Jetta did not go home. Olympia Valance. I don't know if she's related to Holly Valance or not, but I know that they both were on a show called Neighbours, which is like the soap opera in Australia. And let me tell you, they tried airing Neighbours here in the United States in the late 80s, and yeah, it didn't go over that well. But it only lasted for a year. But, I found it very interesting. But they kind of started in the middle, so it would have been better if they started at the beginning, but I digress. Anyways, that's kind of it. So that's all I have time for. Thank you so much for logging on today and for taking the time to just bear with me through all of that nonsense, but I appreciate it. And I will see you again next week. Dancing with the Stars Ireland this Sunday is with, it's at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it is the second to the last week this week. And then Dancing with the Stars next week is Latin Week in Australia. So that airs at 12:30 at night on Pacific Standard Time on Monday morning, but it's still technically Sunday night, right? Anyways, thank you for logging on today, everyone. Have a great day. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Angel Benton. You can you can't hashtag shit because I don't do it. Hashtag DWTSAU. You can hashtag DWTSIRL. You can hashtag DWTS Tour. Whatever you want to talk about. Just at me, chat with me. Leave a thumbs up on this video. Leave me comments, discuss things with me. You can hit that subscribe button to get get my YouTube videos sent to your email inbox every single day in case you missed the live stream. And if you hit the little notification button, it'll let you know, the little bell, it'll let you know whenever I go live again. So I will see you next Wednesday night.